All right, a very good afternoon to you and you're welcome to the program. It is the 12th of September 2025 and this is Good Afternoon Ghana. We're here to give you all updates within the news world that the Metro News Desk has actually gathered. Well, today, what will be on our table, I think paramount will be on Galamsey, as it continues to be a threat to the nation and the current generation, of course, the future generation as well. The press encounter, or the president's encounter with the media, has exposed quite a number of issues and has subjected his response to Galamsey to scrutiny. We'll be getting into these matters and speak with persons, institutions, and analysts who have raised concerns about the president's response when questions of Galamsey were thrown at him by journalists who had the opportunity to meet with His Excellency. So we'll speak, of course, with Mr. Ken Ashibe, who is the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, and also the Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana, who is Daryl Osu, on these matters. There are statements that have been released on the back of this, so we will also read the statements to you. We'll have Pakwesi Shandov, who is also Media Relations Officer for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and we'll get to find out more and what the commitment really is, because they always say that it is about commitment. And like in Chi, they say, well, if anything is going to happen by close of day, you see signs of it in the morning. That's basically what it means. So we will dedicate most of the time to these issues and matters arising. And other stories also have been gathered by the news desk. And standing by, of course, is Desmond Okrekudan. So you're welcome, my brother. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And I'm just going to give you homework. By the time I'm done with the news and come back to you, you tell us how grow as far if you're upon the brothel. Because, I don't know, I think we have to find the right one to be said. But anyway, coming up with the bulletin to this afternoon, Abronye is in the news, and we're live there bringing our viewers all the updates from there. So this is a news update. I'm Desmond Okrekudan. So let's take a look at the headlines. A coalition against Galamsey slams President Mahama over refusal to declare state of emergency. The state government's posture in addressing the menace of illegal mining is deeply unsatisfactory. And also coming up, we will tell you about the arrest of Alhaji Azorka by the Eastern South Regional Police Command. Plus, later, Abronye DC is in court today. We will bring you all the details as we have a man on the ground. The details of these and many more coming up shortly. Please stay with us. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. We're live on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana, DSTV channel 277, and also on the multi-TV box. Now, the former Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame has condemned what he calls the government's reprehensible handling of political opponents, arguing that the use of unnecessary force undermines the principles of democracy.
And I gather that these lawyers were actually denied access to after court. So quite seriously, since Tuesday, these lawyers have not been able to have access to him. So yesterday I requested to meet him graciously. The PCID brought him here today to meet him. I think that I must express that to the police authorities for doing that. But indeed, the most important point is that they had earlier on denied access to some of these lawyers. So I'm here not, of course, as a lawyer for Abronye. I had no intent to think about the matter, as has been widely reported and all that. But I think I just came to show solidarity with him and to ensure that all processes are going on well and all that. But I must, once again, expressed the strongest reservations about the manner in which this administration is manipulating and utilizing the criminal justice system to intimidate and harass political opponents. That's clearly the lowest we can refer to as a nation. It's very much inconsistent with the democratic tenets of the nation. We have seen it many times, yes, and it is a stark contrast to the era we just preceded this administration. I was at Angela. I'm sure definitely one at Angela who has vilified, classified me, as we all know, a lot of lies or things told about me. I've never utilized the criminal system to attack or even to arrest any opponent at all. So I don't know what is going on. I just clearly, I'm shut up to think of the human rights record of this administration. Already we have seen quite a lot. Grave abuses of human rights, free trial processes which are abused, and unlawful arrest. So it is actually operating this way. Whenever they think you are saying something that they consider to be unsavory or that they consider to be offensive to themselves, then they quickly arrest you. And after the arrest, they band you before court on some trumped up charge and all that. And definitely, you all see, they definitely don't see the conclusion of the matter. So the manner in which pre-trial processes are being abused and utilized to attack, intimidate, and harass political opponents of this administration, we never seen any of this kind before. It's unprecedented, and that is very deplorable. And I'm surprised that you, the media, also look on unconcerned while all these things go on. All right.
So long case. NPP executive this morning stormed the Accra Circuit Court for the NPP Bono Regional Chairman Abronye DC's hearing. According to the Ghana Police Service, Abronye was arrested on September 8 on the charges of offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace. This legal action follows Abronye's recent political asylum applications to 8 countries, namely Cote d'Ivoire, the United States, France, Italy, Canada, Spain, the United Kingdom, and Germany, citing threats to his safety and political persecution. And that's what you're seeing on your screen right now. My colleague Derek Adote is at the Accra Circuit Court and joins us on telephone. Hello, Derek. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us here on the news. What is the latest? Is the hearing done? What can you tell us?
Okay, so I'm here at the Accra Circuit Court. Today's trial happened in Circuit Court 9, where the defense for Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abronye, pleaded the court to grant them bail. But the prosecution argued that they needed 2 more weeks to carry out their investigation. So the final verdict for today has been that Abronye has been remanded back into police custody for 2 more weeks. When we got here, there were a number of supporters who have come here to support him. Currently, the trial is over, so they have all left. But the final news for today is that Abronye has been remanded back into police custody for 2 weeks. But the defense is saying they are going to continue. What supporters are also saying is that Mahama is leading this charge, and he will be known for it. For impeding democracy, especially coming on the back of his recent statement concerning him not being a supreme leader, and the party feels that Mahama is impeding democracy by using state apparatus to prosecute opposition party members. This is not the first time, and this has happened. And so they argue that when it happened with Kevin Taylor, he was also released, and that finally, when it is the term of the NPP, this is being done. Actually, when we came here, we saw a number of security men here. Over 50 security men were here. He was brought, as usual, in the Black Maria, which the party is also speaking against. And so this is what's been happening here. The party is complaining, saying that because of comments made, the party's Bono Regional Chairman, Kwame Bafo, is being treated like a criminal. And so the fact that there are too many security officers here, over 50, nearing 100, and the fact that he's being carried around in a Black Maria as if he has committed a criminal offense is an issue to them. And so I also quizzed about the recent comment of President Mahama on people who make hate speeches online, because the lawyers for Abronye are saying that this is a misdemeanor. And so when you are trying a misdemeanor case, you don't bring in such number of security personnel here. And so they feel it's political persecution and that they will continue to pursue the case, but they are not happy with the ruling of the court today, remanding Abronye into custody again for 2 more weeks for the prosecution to carry out more investigations.
Derek, you saw him. What's he looking like? I mean, after the remand that the judge pronounced.
On Friday, when they first came to the circuit court, he looked calm. Today, he looked calm as well because he had the backing of supporters of the party and some of the minority leadership. We saw Afenoma King here. He was in court today with the lawyers, Afuapa and the others. And so he was really calm. He was really calm, but it is the fans or the party supporters who were really agitating what's been happening so far, what's been going on with comments made by MPP people online, and they are arrested, and if it is the NDC, they are let go. So that has been their argument throughout this morning, and they were against the ruling as well. They marched actually close to the Black Maria, but the number of security personnel here were able to deal with the movement of the party because supporters were at the point trying to prevent them from carrying their party member away. But that's what's been happening this week.
All right, Derek, thank you very much for giving us the update there. So there you have it. The latest is that Abronye DC has been remanded into custody for 2 more weeks. Well, the minority leader, Alexander Apinyo-Markin, was also at the Accra Circuit Court, and this is what he said to the press. Okay, so some supporters there who were at the Accra Circuit Court to support Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abronye DC. Now, another story that came in earlier this morning is that the Eastern South Police Command has arrested suspect Alhaji Azorka in Tamale. That was yesterday following the assault on Alhaji Masawudu Osman in Akwetia on 2nd September 2025 during the Akwetia by-election. Now, Alhaji Azorka's caution statement has been taken and is being released on bail. Let's take a look at the statement from the police. It says that following the commencement of investigations into an alleged assault on Alhaji Masawudu Osman at Akwetia on September 2, 2025 during the 2025 Akwetia by-elections, the Eastern South Regional Police Command on September 10 arrested suspect Alhaji Azorka in Tamale. Caution statement has been obtained from the suspect and has been released on bail to report to the Eastern South Regional Police Command in Chebi on September 16, 2025 at 10 a.m. for him to be arraigned before the court. The police assures the public of thorough investigations into the matter, hence entreat all to remain calm as further developments shall be communicated. Now, away from that, and our last hour, who's coordinator for Eco-Conscious Citizens Ghana, a non-governmental organization advocating for environmental protection, has expressed her disappointment in President Mohammed's comments about illegal mining when he met the media at the Jubilee House on Tuesday, 10th September. She said the government should use all tools available to fight this canker. She spoke on Newsnight.
Well, I can say I'm disappointed. By all means, by all means, if you have more tools to use in the fight against this canker, go ahead. Go ahead. But what on earth are we waiting for? What are we waiting for to take control of our water bodies? Water is life. Without water, we'll all perish. We are being poisoned. So I'm a little disappointed that we don't seem to be decisive in dealing with this canker once and for all. We don't seem to realize that it's an existential threat we face. So people are not asking for a state of emergency because it sounds nice. They are asking for it because they think that this is the best way to tackle that cancer. If you know there are other options, for heaven's sake, employ them. Time is running out. The house is burning. The president himself recognizes it, but the decisive steps are not being taken. In the run-up to the election, so many NDC stalwarts, lined up to demand a state of emergency, And now we are being told that, contrary to what they asked for of the last administration, this is not the step to take now. Look at the images you are showing. Are we waiting for the whole country to be devoid of forest cover, all our water bodies to be poisoned, everybody to have kidney disease before we decide to act? Of course, there's the perception, and I think the fact is that enough is not being done. The IGP's team was doing some work, is being disbanded. It appears that the illegal miners, the environmental terrorists, now have full reign to continue destroying our forest reserves and poisoning all and sundry, our water bodies and our farmlands. So yes, enough is not being done. We are facing an emergency.
Now, the Member of Parliament for Ododo-Diodio, Alhaji Azorka, has announced the successful graduation of 260 young individuals from the Youth Employment Agency's Fire Service and Community Police Assistance programs. He assured the graduates of government's continuous efforts in creating more job opportunities for the youth and transforming their lives.
260 graduates from the Ododo-Diodio constituency are among 12,000 young people who received training under the Community Protection Assistance CPA program championed by the Youth Employment Agency. These young men and women have undergone the necessary training and are now well prepared to serve their communities and contribute to the safety and security of Ododo-Diodio and beyond. The Accra Metro Director of the Youth Employment Agency, Sheikh Ibrahim Tahiru, encouraged the graduates to embrace the spirit of collaboration and create initiatives that address the root causes of insecurity and promote a culture of safety and respect.
As you step into your new roles, I urge you to remember the importance of empathy and understanding. The communities you serve are devised with unique challenges and needs. Approach your duties with an open heart and a willingness to listen. Engage with the youth, the elderly, and everyone in between. Your ability to connect with people will be your greatest asset.
Jamestown District Police Commander Superintendent William Abisa and Deputy Chief Fire Officer Commandant Gilbert Kluche both urged the newly deployed assistants to work in close collaboration with their respective security agencies and the Assembly to address emerging challenges, particularly in crime prevention, fire safety education and emergency response. Member of Parliament for Ododo-Diodio, Alhaji Azorka, commended the recruits for their discipline and urged them to uphold professionalism in their new roles as frontline support in the fight against crime and ensure fire safety in their communities.
We are here to chart an upward path. We are here to celebrate our gallant young men and women who have passed out of training to become YEA fire officers, YEA police officers. As you have taken on this challenge, I assure you that it is a step in the right direction. You have taken a step towards empowerment and securing a better future for yourselves and your families. I stand here to assure you that as you have taken this step, sooner than later, most of you will end up becoming full-time officers with discipline and hard work.
The MP also used the occasion to donate some street lights to the various assembly members in the area.
Away from that, strategies to position Ghana as a globally competitive, export-driven economy has been unveiled at the launch of the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program held here in Accra. My colleague Dominic Ansapra was at the program.
Now, the 24-hour plus secretariat has successfully organized the strategic integration workshops of the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program, marking a significant milestone in Ghana's economic transformation agenda. Delivering the keynote address, Chief of Staff Julius Deborah affirmed the government's unwavering commitment to the initiative.
The 24-hour agenda by design is long-term. It seeks to re-engineer how our economy functions, from production and services to regulation and monitoring. Such a long-horizon reform cannot rely solely on the passion of political leadership, nor sustain without a civil service anchoring its continuity. Ghana cannot be different. The civil service must be the steady hand that keeps the 24-hour agenda on course.
And now the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Pandik Tesiama, commended the 24-hour plus secretariat for its efforts and pledged the central bank's full support.
Finally, things have moved on from the conceptualization phase that we were in a couple of years ago to the actual implementation phase. And I want to give a lot of credit to my senior, Guzitano and his team. They have done a yeoman's job bringing these to the stage. For us at the Central Bank, we will do everything possible to contribute our due towards the successful implementation of this program.
Presidential advisor of the 24-hour plus program, Guzitano, described the initiative as a game changer that will position Ghana as a leading export-driven economy on the global stage.
Ghana has launched ambitious programs that stumbled because the machinery of government was fragmented. We cannot afford that mistake again, particularly in the global context that we find ourselves today. With diminishing aid support, with wars all over, with trade barriers, and all the multiplicity of confusion that suggests a world looking for a way to stabilize and move forward. The global economy also is unforgiving. Integration is not a bureaucratic preference. It is an existential requirement. Only by working as one government with one agenda can we mobilize resources efficiently, attract investment credibly, and deliver service efficiently.
Key drivers for achieving a full operational 24-hour economy that supports job creation, innovation, and sustained economic growth. For Metro Business, my name is Dominic Nana Kwame Ansapra.
You're still watching the news updates here on Good Afternoon Ghana with me, Desmond Okrekudan. So now the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council has refuted claims that the council has sold off the Holy Gardens Market at Kwame Nkrumah Circle to a private company for construction works. Chief Coordinator of Keep Greater Accra Clean Project, Tony Addison Dodu, said the ongoing plans to renovate the markets is aimed at making markets in Circle better and clean, adding that traders will not be evicted from their source of livelihoods.
Traders at the Holy Gardens Market in Kwame Nkrumah Circle on Thursday, September 4, staged a protest against what they claim is an unlawful eviction attempt by a company owned by a foreigner. According to the traders, the company reportedly plans to demolish their structures to make way for construction works, arguing that they were not adequately informed. They are appealing to the government, traditional rulers and the media for immediate intervention. The Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council, in a new twist, have responded to the traders refuting claims of the eviction. Chief Coordinator of Keep Greater Accra Clean Project, Tony Addison Dodu, addressing the press, said the traders were not being evicted from the market. He explained that the traders were being moved to a different location for renovation works to be carried out in the market. He took journalists around part of the market designated for the renovation works.
I have made it clear that the intention of the authorities is not to evict anybody, but to construct a befitting modern space so that they can undertake their trading activities, so that the waste that they generate can be managed. Our focus is on how to manage the waste and the litter and the filth that has engulfed the whole of Greater Accra. So our focus is how do we collaborate with the traders so that we can effectively manage the waste that they generate. The development is going to be in phases. So as we move the people who are in the first phase, and we would communicate to them and let them understand that the motive of the authorities is not to evict them from the place entirely, but they can adjust so that the first phase of the construction will go on. Then as soon as the first phase is finished, we will move the traders into the first phase so that they can continue with their trading activity. We are doing this with a human face to make sure that we do not deny anybody the space to trade.
Now to some health stories, and Ghana has recorded a worrying 40% surge in suicide-related deaths in 2024, with most of the victims being young people. The Mental Health Authority says the spike highlights a growing public health crisis and is calling for urgent policy action and investment in mental health care.
At an event themed Changing the Narrative on Suicide after Decriminalization, the Mental Health Authority painted a grim picture of suicide trends in Ghana. Dr. Eugene Dodoi, Executive Chief Officer of the authority, announced that Ghana recorded a 40% rise in suicide-related deaths in 2024, a disturbing statistic, especially given that young people are the most affected group.
The reported lives lost last year in 2023 was about 134. These are the lives lost, but we know that for every life lost, 3 to 5 times more people will attempt, and that is the unfortunate thing. And for every attempted suicidal behavior and suicide, up to 10 people are affected by that. So it's very challenging to have these numbers, lose their lives from a preventable cause of death, and that is the unfortunate thing. These were in 2023. Unfortunately, we recorded up to 40% increase in 2024. And the concern here is that could it be due to increased awareness or increased reportage, or actually there are real increase in suicide deaths? We don't have the answers, but the important thing this raised is that we need to do more.
Dr. Dodoi said while some of the increase could be linked to better awareness and reporting after the decriminalization of suicide, the trend also reflects a real rise in deaths, one that demands urgent national attention. The economic implications are just as dire. The loss of young lives, those most likely to contribute productively to Ghana's economy, is creating a dual crisis, human and financial.
One of the approaches that the world over is using to improve mental health care is an excise tax on products like cigarette, like tobacco, like vaping, like pornography, like birthing, like gaming, all the things that we think make people ill. Fast food, sugar, sweets, and all that. And they are collectively called sin tax. So we will prefer for the Mental Health Fund, which was established by the Act 846 of the Mental Health Act in 2012, we will prefer and will be grateful if government could put some excise on these products, say that this excise tax will be used to fund mental health in Ghana.
To reverse the trend, the authority is calling for stronger policy frameworks, greater investment in mental health services, and nationwide anti-stigma campaigns to encourage early help seeking, which it is committed to embark on. The event brought together mental health professionals, civil society organizations, and suicide attempt survivors all pledging support to combat the rising tide of suicides in Ghana. As Ghana commemorates World Suicide Prevention Day, the message is clear. Suicide is preventable, but only if we act now.
And that's all for the news this afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Desmond Okreko. So for more news, log on to our website, over to Annie Efwa Ampofo. And I asked that question earlier before I began the news. Agrobeso Efranopa Nebrofo Bekanese.
Agrobeso Efranopa.
Yes.
If the game will light up, it will begin from the morning.
You know what?
It was
over to you, honey.
Desi, thank you. Desi, but I have one question. That definitely I've been discussing the Galamsey with you for some time now, from previous administration to the current one.
Yeah.
And that's the conversation we're having today, following the president's, response. I'm sure you heard the response. And I think one that stuck with me,
the state of emergency.
State of emergency. Yeah. And he said that he has not called for a state of emergency because we have laws that we are not done exhausting all. We're still implementing them. So we probably have to get to a level before state of emergency can be, applied. What do you make of that response?
Well, you were in the rules. I'm sure that when you were saying that, you were... No, but really... I would agree with the Lord to say that his answer wasn't exactly what we were expecting. And this is why the opposition are capitalizing on that. I mean, in opposition, there are lots of things that were said about how we can combat Galamsey. That included a call for a state of emergency to help solve this. The president mentioned the blue water guards and all of these things, and to exhaust all other means before a state of emergency can happen. And even with that, he has to go to Parliament, and then Parliament would have to approve that. So it seems like a process. I believe there's more than we can do.
I mean, the question is to what end? Because when it comes to even blue water guards, right, the previous administration implemented something similar.
Yeah.
I can't really recall for just now. I think we can, I'll research on it. The name they had for their group. There was a group of nature before this happened. So when the blue water guards were outlawed, the previous administration members for communicating for the government actually, kicked against it or criticized it and started the government was going in cycles or in circuits. What it continues, right? So if there was a body of that nature to guard our water bodies, and there was obviously no adequate positive success rate to that move, it means that we have to move from that to another.
Definitely.
Right?
It means that more needs to be done. At this point, we've seen a lot of Galamseyers who have been arrested. Have we heard about their prosecution? Have we heard about what is happening with them? Have we heard of any person in a tall stand in this country who has been taken to court for involving him or herself in Galamsey? Those are the avenues that I believe, and I'm sure many others believe, that the president should be looking at all of those places, because he's talking about, using all of those avenues. We have not done even a year of it. Blue water guards. The question is, those Galamseyers are using machines in terms of, weapons. Blue water guards. What really can they? I know it's early days yet. We're still in the 9th month of the year.
That President Mahama has been one of them
to solve this canker, and at this point, we're seeing more of that. Kwenyako, the other time a reporter went to you and said, it's just crazy. And in some other places, the issues are getting worse. What really substantial stuff or action is being taken? What we're doing so far?
Honestly, I do not support this comment by the president that, we are exhausting, we're exhausting. It was the NDC drastic measures immediately. I can understand the law that we're dealing with in Parliament. That would take a while because it's a parliamentary procedure. But what we can do now should be done now. I think the attempt in trying to repeat what has been done before and which didn't yield any positive results should be stopped. Let's, up the game. The president said he was going to do a lot when it comes to educating people or persons in how to mine. That should have been started by now because it was a government in waiting. People are dying now. We are giving birth to deformed babies. now. So there is no excuse. This thing about, oh, we are still exhausting the law, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's even fair to us.
I think the worst that a lot of people didn't get was that when he mentioned that some small scale miners will be flown to Australia to go learn, that got a lot of people off. But anyway.
Mr. President should come again. Anyway, we are going to exhaust this more with more experts in the field. We are only journalists to give you our opinions on this likely, but we'll go delve detailed into it with some more interviews we are yet to conduct. So, Desi, thank you.
As always.
Thank you. Let's take a breather. I'll be back shortly.
You've seen nothing yet. This Big Brother Naija Season 10. It's 10 times the drama, 10 times the rivalry, and 10 times the game. This is certified. No zero, no minus. Big Brother Naija Season 10. Showing 24/7 on DSTV and on GoTV. Gold sponsor, Guinness.
Some loves are born in the blink of an eye.
I've been madly in love with her since the first time I saw her. Then let's get married today.
I'll be the happiest woman in the world by your side.
And they kill your soul in a flash. Televisa presents You Are the One. Angela dreams of keeping her promise to be a great doctor and help her people. To Alvaro, ambition is stronger than his dream. And this greed will lead him to commit the worst betrayal to the woman he loves.
I will have a husband no matter what.
Samantha, will you please marry me?
Turning all her dreams into painful disappointments and dangerous consequences.
I've been waiting for you to answer my calls, Alvaro. I haven't heard anything from you. I've sent you so many messages, but you've never responded.
Have you left the bus station?
I just want to pay my debt and get out of here.
Her photographs are going to sell fast, and she will be our gold mine. Our clients will love those.
Are you looking for a boyfriend? Are you all right?
You Are the One is proudly sponsored by The Luckiest, Appointed Time Printing, Blue Jeans Energy Drink, Samu Spices, and Givers Herbal Center.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again? Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa, dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. You go be the luckiest. Go from Georgia be luckiest. From Natebia cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame! Send your God up boom! If you're poor, what's that? So would the coming of the Son of Man be? Hey! Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
his rights are being abused using the court as a channel. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, yesterday when a UK Minister of State visited Parliament, in my interactions, I had this to say, that the time has come for political leaders to end the I do you, you do me, or you do me, I do you. Cannot be sustained. Ghana must make progress. Since 1992, when we started this democracy, we've gone through challenges. I think that under this reset dispensation, we will see something different. But this situation of abusing human rights under the guise of ensuring law and order isn't there here and order. If you look at the charges, these are all misdemeanor. These are charges that are not serious offenses. If you say somebody is publishing fake news with the intent to cause fear and panic, it's a mere misdemeanor. Then you again say that his conduct is offensive conduct and it breaches the peace. These are not serious matters. And I mean, this shouldn't lead to somebody being put in Black Maria.
That's threats.
On the contrary, a national officer of the NDC threatened my life, threatened the national organizer and other senior members of the party. Threat of death openly. We petition. Unfortunately, because there's a different Ghana for MPP and there's a different Ghana for the NDC, the IGP has not even arrested the said officer. A communication officer of the NDC in Akotia constituency also repeated this said threat, but he has not been. And that is what we see. You see, our friends in the NDC should watch this. Power is like an ice block. When it's given to you, it starts to melt.
Process, and I gather that these lawyers were actually denied access to it after court. So quite seriously, since Tuesday, these lawyers have not been able to have access to it. So yesterday I requested to meet graciously the PCID brought in here today. I think that I must express gratitude to these authorities for doing that. But indeed, the most important point is that they had earlier on denied access to some rich lawyers. So I'm here not, of course, as a lawyer for Abronye. They had no intent to think about the matter, as they were widely reported and all that. But I think I just came to show solidarity with him and to ensure that all processes are going on well. But I must, once again, express the strongest reservations about the manner in which this administration is manipulating and utilizing the criminal justice system to intimidate and harass political opponents. That's clearly the lowest we can refer to as a nation. It's very much inconsistent with the democratic tenets of the nation. We have seen it many times, yes, and it is a stark contrast to the era we just preceded in this administration. I was at Angela. I'm sure definitely one Angela who has vilified justifiably, as we all know, a lot of lies or truth told about me. I've never utilized the criminal system to attack or even to arrest any opponent at all. So I don't know what is going on. I just clearly, I'm shut up to think of the human rights record of this administration. Already we have seen quite a lot of grave abuses of human rights.
Right, welcome back to Good Afternoon, Ghana. So we have, obviously, the minority leader, Honorable Member of Parliament, Afeyo Marking, there who spoke earlier. And then we have the former Attorney General, Godfred Dame, and he also spoke there. Both lawyers and have shared their opinions, but my colleague, Derek Adote, is still at the circuit court, and he comes through with some updates of what's happening. We're told that Abronye DC has been remanded for a week, but is there any other development? Derek, thank you for your time once again. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Annie.
That's exactly what's happening. We know that he has been remanded for a week. What else can you add to that? The lawyers have said a few things you captured on tape, but what's going on in the court?
Okay, so Annie, currently Abronye has been taken away. We know Abronye is on trial for offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace. But what the lawyers are currently saying is that that particular charge does not require the number of security personnel that is following the case, the fact that he is being carried around in the Black Maria, and the fact that he's still being remanded without bail. And so earlier when Afenyomakin spoke after the trial, he said Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abronye, has been remanded for 2 weeks. But then we sought clarity just now, and the lawyers are saying 7 days, after which they will come to court again on Friday, which is the 8th, will be the 8th day. So the lawyers are saying 8 days for them. And so this particular day, which is next week Friday, is for the prosecution to finish investigations and for the judge to ascertain whether Kwame Bafo will be granted bail. So the lawyers are just saying that this is a clear use of state security to abuse or to carry out a revenge against MPP supporters and sympathizers. And so currently we are still at the Accra Circuit Court, but he has been taken away into police remand. And so if you are hearing me, the case is going to be recalled on the 19th, where lawyers for Abronye will come and again argue for their party member to be granted bail.
So let's understand. The lawyers explained that they are bringing him back on the 19th, which is 7 days after being taken on remand. But did they say 2 weeks, which out of which they're bringing him after 7 days, or it's 1 week on remand he's been given?
It's 1 week on remand per my calculations. Okay. What Afenyomakin said was 2 weeks, but then I spoke to lawyers for Abronye who explained that it's actually 8 days. But then the court, what the prosecution requested for was 2 weeks in court today. But then the judge granted only 7 days, after which Abronye will be brought back in court on the 8th day. Okay. And so that's why Afenyo is saying 2 weeks, probably. But then what the lawyer is saying is that it's 8 days.
Okay. Did they explain for misconduct, his offenses, into details what exactly that meant? Did we capture, in writing, or did the judges say anything about read out his misconduct in court?
Okay, so that's the charge, offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace. But today, the defense is seeking bail, and the prosecution came to argue that they need 2 more weeks to put their case together for more investigations. And so that's been what's been happening in court today. The request for time to continue investigations and the request for bail on the part of the defense. In the end, the judge has granted the prosecution 7 days to go ahead and carry out further investigations before the case is called back on Friday the 19th. And so that's where we are today.
All right. Derek, I know that you're trying to gather some more information. That's why you're still there. Do we still, we know that Kwame Bafo Abronye has been taken away, but do we have some lawyers around? The NPP officials, are they still there? Supporters are still there? What's the picture?
Well, currently, everybody has left this place because Abronye has been taken away. But earlier, we saw a lot of party supporters here. Over 100 party supporters have been here. But what's been surprising to them is the number of security personnel who were also here to ensure that there is peace and that there is no chaos. And so that's what's been happening here. Party supporters have been here, but they've currently left the place. Executives and the leaders who came around have all left the place. The minority leader who was here has also left the place. And so currently there is nothing happening here with regards to the Abronye case because he's been taken into remand.
Right. Derek Adote, we're grateful for your time this afternoon. Thank you so much for speaking to us. So that's the updates there. From Derek Adote's checks, speaking to lawyers for Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abronye DC. He's been taken in for on remand for 8 days, and I think he says that after the seventh day he'll be brought back to court to seek, bail for their clients. Abronye DC. That's the updates there. You're still watching Good Afternoon Ghana. We'll be giving you some more details on that. All right. Let's speak with the national organizer for the New Patriotic Party, Nana B. He's joined us via phone. He was also in court, of course, to have their sentiments registered on the current updates. Nana, thank you so much for joining us here on Good Afternoon Ghana. So, what did you go to court to do?
Oh, clearly, as you are aware, I mean, just this Tuesday, our regional chairman for Bono region was brought before the court. He was remanded to police custody. He was brought before the court again today. We were hoping, we made a very strong case, and his representation was very strong. Honorable Afenyomaken, in fact, they were being even led by Honorable Fred Blay. Honorable Afenyomaken was there, and then also Godfrey Dame as well, and then Lawyer Marty. We made a strong case. We are of the view that this is a state-sponsored harassment. Look, what did Abronye say? What Abronye said amounts to a misdemeanor. It is not as if he's committed a felony. He is not a terrorist. He is not a hardened criminal. And if you've seen the images, the police marched him. There were almost about 200 policemen armed to the teeth. And they put him in this Black Maria handcuffed. You see, our problem is the unfair application of the law. Very, very imbalanced. Very biased. And clearly you can see that the state is weaponizing state institutions to harass the opposition. Look, so far, Azorka, we don't even know when he was arrested. We have not even seen his picture. We are just being told that he was arrested and he was granted bail. Somebody who threatened to kill the minority leader. Somebody who physically assaulted the third vice national chairman of the New Patriotic Party. He was just arrested, we are being told. He was given bail, and he's been told to reappear before court, I think on the 13th or so. In fact, the communications officer for Buakonov, he specifically also said that they are looking for myself, Afenyomaken, and Odonpe to kill. The video is viral. In fact, the New Patriotic Party officially petitioned the IGP. Officially petitioned the IGP. As we speak, we have not received any correspondence from the IGP, and it's been almost a week. The petition was sent by Richard Ahiaba, our communications director. It was signed by the General Secretary. So are we in a kangaroo state? Do we have different or separate laws for the NDC?
You say that someone had threatened that he's looking for you and Afenyomaken, who's minority leader.
Say it again, Annie.
Did you say that someone have threatened that he's looking
Not
for
someone, Alhaji Amadou, not just someone. He is the communications officer for Buakwa North for the NDC. Alhaji Amadou, Abdul Amadou. You haven't seen the video?
No, I haven't.
I'm going to send it to you right after this
Please
interview.
do, yes.
He openly said that, oh, we are looking for 3 people. Anodompre, Afanyomake, and Nabi. We are going to kill them. In fact, if we meet them here, they are going to be cemetery. Those were his exact
He said
words.
that in the video?
In the video.
Okay. That's life-threatening. If you can
And
really...
yes, and we have petitioned the IGP. We have added the video. In fact, I sent the video to a senior police officer who is a director general at the head office. You know what he told me? He told me that, oh, they are still analyzing all the footages and all the videos and it will inform their strategy. What? What?
But that's the right thing to do, no?
No, this was 2nd of September, the day we were having the by-elections.
Yeah.
What today's date? That was 2nd.
And then again, lawyer, you said someone threatened to eliminate, I don't want to use that word you used on air, but eliminate minority leader?
Yes.
Who was that?
So far, Azorka said that if he had met Afenyomakin at the place he was at the time he was granting that interview, we were going to have a by-election in his constituency.
Yes, and is that how you interpret that to mean?
What are you talking about? What interpretation? Are you speaking for him? What interpretation, Annie, can you put on this? When we were having a by-election in Akwetia as a result of the demise of the MP, and then you come and say that, look, if we go, if we go, if he had met Afenyomakin there, we were going to then take his corpse, and that we're going to have a by-elections there, similar to what we have in Akwetia. What other interpretation do you want to put on this?
Okay.
What alternative interpretation do you have, Annie, for this?
Right.
This is a clearly
have you made an official, have you made an like the Alhaji Amadou statement, have you made an official statement or complaint
Annie,
about...
I will send all of it to you. We sent it a week. I'm surprised you haven't even seen it because it was viral. It went everywhere.
No, I have seen Azorka's statement. It's not the Amadou's own. No, I have not seen, but I've seen Azorka's statement. Yeah, but the question is, have you gone to the police with Azorka as well? Have you made an official complaint?
Yes, we have. That is why I'm saying that the General Secretary officially petitioned the IGP.
Okay.
Officially. That was last week. We sent the petition last week, Thursday.
Okay. Now, back to the Abronye situation. I've seen, I mean, the party machinery has now begun moving to courts with him when he's brought for the case to be pursued. But what exactly are you going to be doing going forward? It doesn't look like the complaints...
No. Annie, we are going to rise up against this unfair treatment, this abuse of power, abuse of due process. We are going to rise up against this. We are going to support the National Youth Wing is organizing a huge protest against this state-sponsored harassment, weaponizing state institutions to harass the opposition. You are going to have a big demonstration, and then the entire party is going to support the National Youth Wing. I have seen the notification now. And we are going to support the National Youth Wing led by Salam Mustafa. We are going to protest. And we are also going to, again, write to the international communities. It is very important that we let them know how the abuse of power being superintended over by this administration. And look, I dare say Nanado was an angel. Trust me. I dare say Nanado was an angel. I mean, we've been in this country where even a journalist sat on TV, live TV, and said that, look, if Nanado should be in a private jet, that jet should crash and kill Nanado. He wasn't arrested. He wasn't. In fact, I remember some NDC members saying that Nanado's first wife, Nanado is responsible for the death of his first wife. Who arrested any of these people? We've had worse things in this country. And today, we are criminalizing free speech. We have had a repeal of the criminal libel law years ago. And it looks like now we are going through the back door.
Okay, is it your position? Okay, lawyer, is it your position that stating or making references to abusive and inflammatory comments in previous administration should continue?
No. In fact, today we have even said that we do not support unsavory comments, inflammatory language. No, we do not support that. But what we are seeing is the high-handedness, the approach, and the unfair application of the law. Because if somebody should make life-threatening comments against myself, Honorable Afenyomakin, Honorable Anodompre, and the person is still working free. And so far Azorka was arrested, we didn't even hear anything. Look, when Abronye was arrested, we saw pictures of him circulating on social media. I have not seen even any picture of so far Azorka circulated on social media. Yet we are being told that he was arrested and he was granted bail.
Yes, we've seen
somebody who threatens the life of another person is given bail. But somebody who, in the words of the police, insults the IGP is being treated like
it's being treated like what?
A terrorist.
How?
But today, did you see the number of policemen? Over 200, I counted.
I am watching it. I'm watching
yes.
it. I'm watching it on
yes,
screen.
And
now.
it was horrible. And then how they brought him the almost in about 3 pickups with armed policemen in there.
But
they had handcuffed him.
But lawyer, you are the national organizer for the NPP, the biggest opposition party. I'm sure you are very much aware of the gravitas of Abronye DC and the support base he has. You're not underestimating that, right?
I do not. But what I'm trying to say is that what they did clearly is imbalanced. Clearly. In fact, this is somebody who himself turned himself in. They invited him and he went with his lawyer. So he is not a threat. So we should put that on record, that it is not as though Abronye was arrested somewhere hiding. No, he himself went to the police EID with his lawyer. So clearly that person is not a threat. And he's known, he's a born original chairman for the New Patriotic Party.
All right.
So we are going to rise up, we are going to support the National Youth Wing of the New Patriotic Party. We are going to have a big protest and we are going to have a series of events.
You're going to have series of events?
Yes. This weaponization of state institution against the opposition must stop.
When is this series of events starting?
No, we're starting. He just announced, I think, 23rd of this very month.
23rd of September?
Yes, of this month. Yes.
Of September. Okay, and it's starting from Accra, or we're doing across the nation?
Yes, in Accra.
From different regions in Accra?
Yes, it will be announced soon. All the events, it will be announced soon.
Okay, all right. All right, Henry Nanabwache, a lawyer, and then a national organizer for the NPP. I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. Thank you for speaking to us, right? So that's Henry Nanabwache in his position as a national organizer for the New Patriotic Party on what has happened so far. And, well, the update is indeed that the party is organizing a massive demonstration. It's being led by the youth organizer for the party, Salam Mustafa. And there's going to be a series of activities to drum home the seeming abuse of power by this government, according to Nana B. And then also seek international assistance, on how to at least call the president to order. I'm sure that is what they will be seeking. Let's see how that goes. Metro TV will follow through with the party and definitely bring you some more updates on that one. Now let's do protection of our lives. What exactly do they say life is largely dependent on? And that's water. Galamsey is becoming a menace. It has become a menace, definitely. Danger. We're sitting with it. We live with it. We do everything with it. We eat with it. We drink with it. It has become a part of our lives, and people are calling for, some savior to come from somewhere and rescue the nation from this particular danger that faces the whole nation. Let's go for the bite of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who met the press a few days back. He had the opportunity to respond to his, efforts that he's making on this menace called Galamsey. Because remember, on the back of the campaigns that were run in 2024, he made, certain commitments and promises. So a lot of Ghanaians are looking forward to see how his efforts is going so far. What did he have to tell the nation?
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have. And if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. It means we have to go to Parliament. The President can't just declare a state of emergency without, going to Parliament, because there's a limit to how long you can maintain that state of emergency. And so I believe that we still have leverage to continue to fight Galamsey without necessarily implementing a state of emergency. We have to, it means that we have to delineate the areas where the state of emergency is operational. And if you look at the area where Galamsey is taking place, it covers several districts of our country. And so we would do it if it becomes necessary. But for now, I think that we've given the security services enough powers to be able to deal with people who are found to be involved in Galamsey.
Well, I can say I'm disappointed. By all means, if you have more tools to use in the fight against this canker, go ahead. Go ahead. But what on earth are we waiting for? What are we waiting for to take control of our water bodies? Water is life. Without water, we'll all perish. We are being poisoned. So I'm a little disappointed that we don't seem to be decisive in dealing with this canker once and for all. We don't seem to realize that it's an existential threat we face. So people are not asking for a state of emergency because it sounds nice. They are asking for it because they think that this is the best way to tackle that cancer. If you know there are other options, for heaven's sake, employ them. Time is running out. The house is burning. The president himself recognizes it, but the decisive steps are not being taken. In the run-up to the election, so many NDC stalwarts, lined up to demand a state of emergency, And now we are being told that, contrary to what they asked for of the last administration, this is not the step to take now. Look at the images you are showing. Are we waiting for the whole country to be devoid of forest cover, all our water bodies to be poisoned, everybody to have kidney disease before we decide to act? Of course, there's the perception, and I think the fact is that enough is not being done. The IGP's team was doing some work, is being disbanded. It appears that the illegal miners, the environmental terrorists, now have full reign to continue destroying our forest reserves and poisoning all and sundry, our water bodies and our farmlands. So yes, enough is not being done. We are facing an emergency.
All right, so those are 2 bites that we, played. His Excellency, the President, who spoke on the matter, and of course, the river bodies, Arocha Ghana, are also speaking to it. We'll see if we can raise them back on the phone lines and have further discussion on the Galamsey situation with them. So just in case you didn't have the opportunity to actually watch the media encounter, His Excellency had a very nice opportunity to respond to the state of emergency, or calling for a call for a state of emergency, because we're told, because that's what the government in waiting was calling for when it was in opposition. And His Excellency now responds and says that it may sound nice, but we still have given more powers to security agencies to carry out the work of the fight. In fact, there was an earlier explanation to the state of emergency, which the president explained to in the early days when he took over from the previous administration. And he explained that the previous administration was not doing enough, and that everything that it was doing looked like it was a facade. That's because government officials were named to have been involved, and it looks as though everything the government said it was going to do, it did not do. And so the hypocrisy of the fight was what was encouraging the government in waiting at the time that you should call for a state of emergency, because even your officials themselves are involved. Now, in the today's situation, and according to the president, what's different is that it has put a hold on small-scale licensing issuances that previous administration was doing. Since it came into office, it has never issued a single license. We probably might visit the website of the Minerals, I think the Minerals Commission, yes, the Minerals Commission, and then you will see updates of licenses that have been given or that were issued before, that have been issued. That if the president is not being truthful, we can actually verify from the site. And then he also says that the current government is also making sure that no government official is involved in this activity. So you can actually have the willpower to fight it. There are allegations already making rounds that some government officials or members of the party are involved. If they are, definitely we'll bring them to the book and ask questions. But for now, he knows that his government officials or appointees are not involved in Galamsey activities, which is why he thinks that state of emergency is not the way to go now. But Arocha Ghana and other associated bodies' positions also are that people are dying, lives are being taken, and we have already seen pictures, videos, research of childbirth, of babies that are already, having effects or negative effects of Galamsey because they've been born with some defects or birth defects directly associated to Galamsey. Some babies are born with birth defects, but it's not necessarily Galamsey. But these ones, researches are done on them or conducted on them, and the outcome has been given. You can Google, you'll find quite a number of them. And so it is indeed a situation that calls for emergency, which is why they insist that call for a state of emergency. You can see that the water bodies are all gone. They are drying up, and so we know that we have also been giving some period that Ghana was going to import water in about 20 years' time. I think that when that was given, that was about 5 years ago, so it must have reduced to about 15 or 10 years. So no, that very soon we'll probably be importing water like Singapore, right? So that's what's happening. Now, let's go onto the phone lines and engage the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Media Relations Officer Pakwesi Shandov has joined us via phone. Via Zoom. Pakwesi, thank you for your time, and you're welcome to Good Afternoon, Ghana.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Annie. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Pakwesi, the last time you were here with me, I think we spoke at length, and we have not seen any difference yet, if any, abuse of the environment started in previous administration, it definitely will affect your administration and things will deteriorate further. Recently, we've seen youth, go into legal mine sites, which has ended up in a clash between the youth and the military. That's also degenerating into, a bigger problem. I'm talking about Asanko mines in recent days. And so it looks as though the Galamsey fight that we are sitting on is humongous than we think. Hello, Pakwesi. Okay, we've lost Pakwesi there, but let's take a quick breather. I think we'll try and raise him back and see what the ministry is doing. After the president said what he said, we'll probably have to, probe further to see if we can get some tangibles from what is being done. We'll be back shortly.
In life, choice is good, but choice plus safety is way better. Your safety and comfort is paramount. Under the cylinder recirculation model, you can buy LPG in a safe environment. All cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards, so your safety is assured. Just take your empty cylinder to the nearest exchange point and swap it for a filled cylinder. Different cylinder sizes will be available to meet your pocket size. Imagine cooking in a smoke-free environment. This will improve the health and well-being of you and your family. Choose LPG in a safer model of distribution. Cylinder recirculation model. Securing your safety. Creating more jobs. A message from the National Petroleum Authority under the patronage of the Ministry of Energy.
So congratulations to you and everybody that won on the bonus ticket. Okay, yes, we hope that next year you get on the luckiest again and win bigger than you won this time. Okay, so congratulations. Yes, wow, from the luckiest to you as one of the winners on this ticket. So congratulations.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah, the luckiest. Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah. Money we define every day.
Me pay so dear me jame. Sister me dad dear me tibia na me amshishimi. Akuna ida. Me many tears am de me sakana me say. Me ida so te.
Sika, se dia so demo. Hwe, juju so wo mo.
Bag de ho dia. Me ba bi free.
So what you say bag na ma? Mo na me hwehwe. Wow. Say me nya kwamfo bi e na no mo sole o.
Hey!
All right, back to issues on Galamsey. Pakwesi Shandorf has joined us back on the phone on Zoom. He's Media Relations Officer for Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources. Pakwesi, thank you once again for joining us. So I was making a submission that after I met with you, we still yet to see significant change in all policies and moves this government has taken as far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned. What's your brief for us this afternoon?
Well, Annie, so once again, good afternoon. I'm happy to join the conversation here this afternoon. From the time of our last engagement up to now, the ministry has stayed on the trajectory of implementing the strategies and the measures that it had earlier conceived to deal decisively with the menace of illegal mining vis-a-vis the enforcement of the regulations, the reformation of the licensing regime, the deepening of education and sensitization, land reclamation, and of course, the rollout of the Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program, which is currently ongoing and effectively underway. From that time, again, up to now, we have been able to record very remarkable successes, but it's also important to put on record that we are far from getting out of the woods because, for example, in the last time we engaged, I did indicate that 9 forest reserves had been repossessed, but the illegal miners appear to be rather very obstinate in the sense that they have returned to some of the forest reserves which were earlier repossessed, and so we could describe that as a mild insurgency, but a mild reinsurgence, but the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat is on the grounds. Indeed, as we speak, they are embarking on a number of very high-level intelligence operations across the country. For security reasons, I'm not able to disclose the details, but they are on the grounds and they are working to ensure that those involved are brought to book and dealt with accordingly.
It's quite a disturbing, development you're giving me, because if 9 forests repossessed and these Galamseyers seem to have gone back into the forest, is that to say that Galamsey operators are stronger than the government?
Not so. I have to clarify that the illegal miners have not re-entered all the 9 forests which were earlier repossessed. Indeed, it is only one that has recorded that. And even with that, statistically, we may want to characterize it as a mild resurgence, because if you look at the total of 9 that had been repossessed, and then now you have just one with some of the armed illegal miners going in there who are actually being pursued anyway by the NIMOS, it's not so much of a complete recapture, so to speak, because it's not the entirety of the 9. So we can say that just half of one is where the resurgence is happening at the moment. But regardless of that, we still treat it as a very salient development, and NIMOS is working around the clock.
Pakwesi, so it's a little complacent to say that is just one of the 9, and even the one security agencies are taking, even if it's half of that forest. I expected that, as government says it has reclaimed these 9, measures would have been put in place to prevent a single illegal miner to enter any of these forests. Why has it become difficult?
So by indicating that it is just one, and even with one, those who have re-encroached are being pursued. I do not mean to sound complacent at all whatsoever. It is only to set the record straight that it's not the entirety of the 9. But again, to the question, substantively to the question, why have they been able to enter? And does that mean that we are resting on our laurels? No, that's not the point. The fight against illegal mining, like the Sector Minister Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa had earlier indicated, is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It is not one of those wars that you can win immediately or instantaneously. You have to consistently be on the guard. And so it doesn't come as a surprise that the armed illegal miners have resurfaced again. The good news, however, is that our mechanisms are actively in place. NIMOS has been redeployed. Indeed, they have always been on the grounds, but for the purposes of this resurgence, they are being activated again for that purpose in that particular enclave, and they are working to flush them out. And so we should be expecting very good news soon. And indeed, in terms of policy, now for all the 9 forest reserves that have been repossessed, the ministry is working to mount uninterrupted surveillance across all of those 9 forest reserves so that we don't experience any form of resurgence whatsoever.
Uninterrupted surveillance, what's that like? Is it the use of drones consistently? Are we patrolling the forests, 24 hours? What's uninterrupted surveillance?
Well, so drone technology, of course, has been part of the mechanisms that we have been employing over the period. But in addition to that now, indeed, you had seen the picture that I was attempting to paint. Patrolling. The patrolling now has to be effective and then more like a 24-hour kind of a thing, so that at every given point you have men on the grounds to ensure that the armed illegal miners do not find any window to exploit whatsoever.
So who is doing the patrol?
The NIMOS, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat. Of course, that is the legally mandated and commissioned body or outfit that coordinates all anti-illegal mining operations across the country. So NIMOS is doing the deployments across those areas, and indeed all the other forest reserves that had been repossessed.
Okay, so these measures you've mentioned are being done or implemented within the forest reserve that we've repossessed, right?
Yeah, particularly within, because of course, those forest reserves appear to be fertile grounds for the illegal miners.
Yes.
Thankfully, we have been able to repossess them. It is only prudent that after you have repossessed, you now mount guard so that there is no resurgence like we are hearing. Okay, so the surveillance is exclusive to those, but across other places, based on intelligence assessment, if there is a need to make that similar level of deployment there too, that would be done accordingly.
So if these forest zones are having exclusivity, how did we have some illegal miners, get into one of the forest reserves that was repossessed?
I didn't get the question. If they have exclusivity,
Yes.
I didn't get that clear.
Yes, exclusivity to protection, patrol, drone technology deployed and all that. How did we have some of these illegal mining get into one? And which of them have they encroached again?
Okay, so prior to now, the 24-hour surveillance is a new approach that we are about to unroll, or that is going to be enrolled from now, based on the nature of the situation that we have on board. Sometimes the local names, skip me a little, but I think the one that has experienced the resurgence is Jimira, if I am not mistaken. Like I'm saying, sometimes the local names have a way of escaping me a little, but I think it is Jimira that has experienced that mild resurgence. I may have to check and revert on that, but it
okay,
is,
whichever way,
Jimira,
pronounce it again.
Did
you say Jimira?
Jimira Forest.
Jimira Forest, okay. All right, I think we'll get the name correctly.
Yeah.
Right. So that's with the forest reserve. How about the other areas? We now have the Asanko mines, development that we saw. Haven't heard some of the illegal miners. Some were saying things like, "Well, this is our land. We cannot allow foreign companies to come and take over." So the illegal miners, obviously, if you analyze the things they say, are now having the mindsets of encroaching on legal mining sites. And I know that there's been some arrangements, for legal mining sites to cede some of their mining, lands to Galamseyers. I don't know what the law exactly says, but you can correct me. so that they can also make use of those lands. But what exactly is the agreement with Ghana and those legal mining sites? Yes, and how are we making sure that our illegal miners do not encroach on legal mining company sites? Okay, Pakati, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hello, Annie.
Yes, you froze for a moment.
Yes, I can hear you now. That was a break.
Froze for a moment. Apologies. I'm asking with regards or in reference to the Asanko mines development. Some of the comments we heard from the miners indicated that they were now encroaching on legal mining sites because they were complaining that foreigners had taken over, and so they wanted to, mine within those areas. I want to know what the agreement with these mining sites, are, and how do we respond to some of these developments that we're seeing?
Well, I do not have the specific details on this particular development. Indeed, we had seen the development and noticed it, of course, in the news, but I would be able to provide appropriate briefing perhaps later, because it's an emerging development. Indeed, we saw the, if you like, the standoff between the locals and the military, but I will be able to clarify the details properly as we progress.
I don't think it was a standoff. It was proper clash, because we're told that somebody or two people lost their lives.
Well, again, like I am saying, so for that particular development, I would communicate on that accordingly, properly, with better clarity as we progress. But it's a development that the ministry has taken notice of. Indeed, it adds to the public sentiment about how that some of the illegal miners have, or miners generally are sometimes resistive of the security interventions and all of that. The ministry is concerned, and will engage accordingly, properly on that very soon.
Okay, now let's go to the state of emergency, the biggest one. The president has responded, and I'm sure you've heard his response. So give us a breakdown. What has the discussion around state of emergency or call for state of emergency been in the ministry? What's the minister saying? What preparation are you doing around it? Because the president's response did not go down well with many of us.
The last time we engaged, in our very last interaction after the government accountability series, I had cause to explain that, and I'm reiterating the same explanation, that back then, when the call was ripe for the declaration of a state of emergency, it was due to the fact that around that time, of course, statistically, you have 288 forest reserves across the country. 44 have been besieged and impacted. Now, out of that 44, back then, we had 9 that had been captured and seized by armed illegal miners. I beg your pardon, armed illegal miners. The intensity of that situation is what fueled and warranted the calls for the declaration of a state of emergency. But as of the last time we spoke, and indeed around and up to now, we had been able to repossess all those 9 forest reserves. And that is why the declaration of a state of emergency remained a rather secondary consideration, not an irrelevant one. But the elephant in the room back then was that, look, you had 9 of your forest reserves that had been captured by men and women who had ammunition, they had weapons, they were bent on firing back if you confronted them. That was the severity of the situation, and that is why we were advocating for the declaration of a state of emergency. 6 months down the line, all of those 9 had been successfully repossessed. And that is why, again, the declaration of a state of emergency for us was not, and still is not, an active consideration, because you have effectively dealt with the major elephant in the room. Now that you have done that, you can only now fall on the rest of your outstanding mechanisms to deal with the issue. And like the president said, if push comes to shove, and I've had cause to be reiterating that same point indeed, that if push comes to shove, we get to a point where now it has gotten over the hills. Of course, why not? Because if that is what is going to give us the solution that you, Annie, would be interested in as a citizen, Shandova, or I'll also be happy about, why shy away from it? Because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to deal with illegal mining. And that is an objective that the minister shares, the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, equally shares, and indeed the entirety of the Ghanaian populace. But the approach has to be strategic, and it has to be well thought, because when you are declaring a state of emergency, for example, now, indeed, you would have heard the president say that we have not even exhausted the available mechanisms. Annie, there is the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat. This is a body that has representation, of course, from the Ministry of Defense, from the Ministry of Interior, the National Security, the police. All the security agencies have come together to form NIMOS. There's constant deployment, constant raids and swoop, constant arrests and seizures and all of that. Let us exhaust these mechanisms consistently, because indeed we are getting results from them. Because when you're going to declare a state of emergency now, and I shared a thought with Alhaji Azorka, I beg your pardon, the other day, that, and I'm not saying this condescendingly, but we should be careful not to present as of now the declaration of a state of emergency as a certain magic wand which would naturally and automatically transform our circumstances or rewrite the narrative, because that is indeed not so. When you declare a state of emergency, it does not immediately end the illegal mining menace. That is why we are careful to consider other equally profitable and instrumental and effective mechanisms that are being rolled out by NIMOS. But again, it is not something that completely has been ruled out and has been taken off the table. When there is the need, the convincing need for that to be embraced, I'm sure there will be communication on it accordingly.
Pakwesi, you said when push becomes shove, and I'm wondering when you will consider push as shove in the situation where you have children born with deformities, you have children themselves, we now find them taking part in the Galamsey activities in water bodies that have already been polluted with metals and hard chemicals. We have water bodies, rivers drying up now. Meanwhile, these same water bodies that have been polluted with chemicals are being used to cook food in certain areas. There is research that has been conducted on food items. Some of you obviously are caught to Accra or transported to Accra or Greater Accra region. We eat them. In the villages, most of the foods that we even deem healthier are polluted. Samples have been taken to, for test, and the results is that they are polluted with chemicals, and we're eating them. We're losing the what? I mean, the challenge goes on and on and on. I'm wondering when you will consider push as shove.
I think the context is a bit important to this conversation. I have not sought in any way to downplay the enormity of the threat or the crisis that we have at hand. For which reason we are saying that, okay, we don't have to declare a state of emergency now.
Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. No, I'll allow you. Give me a moment.
Just a second.
These problems have been, said over and over again in the previous administration. And you say that we were calling for the state of emergency because we were now going into the forest. In fact, we gave laws to allow us, mine in the forest reserves. I can understand, I agree. But it was not the forest reserve that was the direct threat. Now we have direct threats within the communities where now houses are collapsing and killing people because illegal mining activities have happened in communities. Communities have become ghost towns now. I'm really just wondering when any leader will see that this calls for a state of emergency, indeed.
Annie, I share your sentiments, and I can understand your frustration as well. Indeed, as a citizen myself, somebody who is also interested in the preservation of the environment, I am in that same company with you. But again, back to the point, the declaration of a state of emergency, once again, we should all be careful not to present it as that instructive magic wand that would transform us.
Okay, we have Kwesi frozen a bit. I think we should just give him some seconds. Let's see.
Hello.
Freeze. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. Yes, I'm saying maybe we should get into the details, the fine details and nuances of a state of emergency, the declaration of a state of emergency. What does it effectively mean? I mean, simply to the ordinary viewer at this particular moment, when you are calling for a state of emergency, all you are doing effectively is that you are suspending, of course, the civil regime of governance or administration, maybe in a particular jurisdiction. There is full military deployment. Movements would, of course, cease. The regular pattern and order of life would be truncated, and blah, 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 blah. So we can look at it as a lockdown in the COVID-19 season. It's similar to that. If we were to go on that tangent right now, of course, economic activities will come to a halt in those particular areas. All of this will come at a cost to government. But the actual point is that it is not something that would immediately deal with the issue, because in the declaration of a state of emergency, it is military men that are going to be deployed. And that same deployment is being done by NIMOS as we speak. Okay, so that is why we must be careful. Look, the president can come out tomorrow. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who is already committed to the fight against illegal mining, can come out tomorrow, or the minister can make an issuance to the effect that, look, we have declared a state of emergency. But I can assure you that the mere declaration, I'm saying mere advisedly, the mere declaration would not naturally change the status quo, though it may be effective. That is why the president has had cause to say that, look, let us look at the viable measures that we have. Let us strengthen them. Let us empower the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, and let us all be vigilant. And if we are doing that, the fight will be dealt with. Because really, unless perhaps maybe we can engage in a very friendly manner on this, unless you yourself, you think that the state of emergency would offer anything that is significantly superior, it's basically absolute militarization of the whole fight. And in the past, we have even seen that the militarization did not necessarily help. While we were heavy on it back in opposition was the fact that, yes, we had 9 forest reserves that had become no-go areas. As of now, you have closed that window successfully. Okay, but yes, there are still outstanding threats: the pollution of the water, the contamination of food crops, and all of those, which the government and the ministry ideally recognizes. But then there are measures that are still in place. So the focus and the emphasis should now be on the measures. We measure, we interrogate, we review, and we evaluate the measures. If there are loopholes, we attempt to close them, and we continue. Because conclusively, the fight against illegal mining is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not something that you can wake up today and then you have won over a period of 1 weekend. No, it doesn't happen that way. Finally, the devastation that has also occurred over an 8-year period cannot be the greatest of respect, and I do not mean to embark on any equalization or needless comparison whatsoever. But yes, illegal mining of Galamsey did not begin now. However, we can all agree that it has deepened significantly over the last 8 years. That depth of deprivation cannot be corrected or amended with the greatest of respect within a 9-month period. So in as much as we are all calling and advocating for a change, maybe, perhaps we might have to be a bit, should I say, fair or considerate in our expectations, because
okay, do we still have Pakasi?
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Hello. Yeah. So that's the point I'm making, that the depth of devastation cannot really be corrected within a 9 months period. So we have to, be not considerate, or I don't want to even say measured, but yes, we have to also be careful about the nature of the expectations that we hold. Government is committed, the political will is abundantly present, and that I think is what matters the most.
So when it comes to children in Galamsey, do we have the ministry in charge of children affairs also, focus? Have they presented any plan of what they're doing to save the children out of it? Because it looks like it's just an all approach style for every government. I'm not sure, apart from the safeguarding of the forest reserve, what specially are we doing differently that we didn't see in the previous administration? Maybe another one too is that state officials or government appointees are not allowed to be engaged in mining activities or Galamsey. But what else are we doing so differently?
Okay, so there was a break in my communication, in the communication with you, but I hope I got the question right. So you're talking about the children who are involved. There are plans to, of course, take them out of it. There are plans to take them out of it. But beyond that, talking about the distinct or the unique measures, you see, Annie, I've had cause to say, even to you, the last time we engaged, I just want to reiterate the same points. When it comes to this fight against illegal mining, it is not so much about the policies or the interventions or the mechanisms. Look, you can assemble a crack team of experts to develop the finest of strategies to deal with the elephant in the room. But there is one thing that is most important, indeed, the most critical and crucial ingredient or variable that you need is political will. It is political will that gives life to the policies that you contemplate in the very first place. So if we before we throw our hands in despair, the question that must be on top of mind is that, do we have that political will yet? If we have the political will, then it doesn't matter. If we have the political will, then clearly you will know that, look, any policy that comes, that policy will see the light of day. By the special grace of God, or thankfully, we have that political will being exhibited by the president himself, John Dramani Mahama. The sector minister also reflects that same momentum. And that is why we believe that the fight will soon be a thing of the past. Yes, maybe the results that many of us are expecting, they are not coming as we want, and the outcomes are not instantaneous, but there is political will. That is the most important thing. Once you have political will, you'll be able to deal decisively with the issue. And so it's just a matter of time. Again, it is a marathon and not a sprint.
Definitely not an event. But let's say we are in the 9th month of your government. Which period do you expect us to measure the success rate of all policies implemented as far as Galamsey activities are concerned? By end of year? Or when exactly do you want us to see something? Because you've now started implementing your policies. What do we see in the next few months?
Well, it's difficult to assign any specific timelines to the success of the policies that we have rolled out. And that's because every now and then there is a new challenge that emerges. For example, we knew in our records that we had repossessed 9 forest reserves. We are now discovering that one of them has recorded a marginal resurgence. And so because of developments like this, the obstinate nature of the illegal miners and the general complexity that surrounds the fight, you are careful not to assign specific timelines. But we can measure the progress based on, for example, in 9 months, you have repossessed 9 forest reserves that were no-go areas that warranted the cause for the declaration of a state of emergency. 9 months is also on the beat. Almost every week, there are consistent arrests and seizures and disablement of
Yes, Paco, you wrap up. You are on. You can wrap up.
Yes. So once we are doing what is necessary, once we are rolling out measures that are effective and giving us results, we should be hopeful because there's the political will, and based on that, the fight where the menace will soon be a thing of the past.
All right. Paco Shandov, you've spent quite a longer time with us. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Yeah,
we will engage you as time goes on. Paco Shandov is the Media Relations Officer for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Let's take a listen to His Excellency, the President, John Dramani Mahama, again on his response on Galamsey.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have. And if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. It means we have to go to Parliament. The President can't just declare a state of emergency without, going to Parliament, because there's a limit to how long you can maintain that state of emergency. And so I believe that we still have leverage to continue to fight Galamsey without necessarily implementing a state of emergency. It means that we have to delineate the areas where the state of emergency is operational. And if you look at the area where Galamsey is taking place, it covers several districts of our country. And so we would do it if it becomes necessary. But for now, I think that we've given the security services enough powers to be able to deal with people who are found to be involved in.
All right, it was scheduled on the show to speak or engage Kenneth Ashibe, who is the CEO for the Ghana Chamber of Mines, and also Dario Bonsu, who is Deputy National Director for Arocha Ghana. We will speak with them subsequently on News Night as the Metro TV news team also still gathers some more updates as far as Galamsey is concerned. But this is what time will allow us here on Good Afternoon Ghana. I'm grateful for your time, and stay safe over the weekend. We're back next week with another show. Thanks for watching.
Brought to you the hottest trending music videos, insightful interviews with your favorite celebrities, and some